I am Gitanjali Sahoo. I am a lecturer in computer technique trade and now I am working in Government Vocational Higher Secondary School Tangi at DCC College Tangi, Khordha. And today we will discuss on a topic that is database concepts. Before going to database concepts, we will discuss on data and information. So, what does it mean by data? First we will know what is data, then we will know how to store it in computer and then how to deal it in the computer. So, what does it mean by data? Data is nothing but any raw fact or figure that we see in naked eye. So, any raw fact or figure is known as a data, and the difference between data and information is that data are plain facts, while the word data is plural form of datum. When data are processed, organized and structured and presented in a given context to give a particular meaning or to make it useful, then that is called information. Or otherwise we can say that processed data is known as information. When data gets processed, after that we call it as information. For example, if I will say the book, then book is a data, while if I will say this book belongs to me, then this becomes an information. So, this is the basic difference between data and information. While any raw fact or figure that you see in naked eye, that is known as data, while when it provides a meaning after processing, then it becomes information. Now, we will define what is a database. So, database is nothing but a base or container where we can store data. So, alternately we can say a database is a collection of interrelated data stored together to serve multiple applications, while this database is dealt by help of a number of users. Databases are being used for number of applications by different type of users, and this database is getting managed by help of a software which is known as a database management system, or shortly it is known as a Dbms. We can say database management system is a computer based record keeping system, and the intention of database is that the same collection of data should serve as many applications as possible. That means, in one particular memory space database will be stored and any user can have the required access from that memory space. Hence, database is known as database management system is the management system by which the end users can have access to the database as per their requirement. Hence, we can say a database system should be a repository of data needed for an organization for data processing as well as decision making. The data that is stored inside database should be accurate, private and protected from damage. Next, we will discuss upon the role of a database management system. So, database is the repository or the base or container which store different information or data regarding an enterprise or organization for decision making and data processing, while end users can have access to this database by help of the database management system or Dbms. So, what is the need of this database management system and why we are interested for storing data inside computer database, while there is a manual record keeping system. Initially, without using computers, also in conventional methods, people have kept records in the offices, while nowadays a database stores data, interrelated data together to serve multiple applications, while there are a number of advantages of this computer based record keeping system. One is our reduced data redundancy, this is one of the important advantage. Another is control data inconsistency, third is it facilitates sharing of data, next it standardized data, and data security and privacy are also well maintained by help of database, and integrated data structure also can be maintained by help of computer based record keeping system or by help of our database system. So, security aspect is one important aspect that is related to database system. Data security refers to protection of data against accidental or intentional disclosure or authorized persons or unauthorized modifications or destruction of data can be prohibited by help of storing data inside the database. Another concept is database privacy, which also can be maintained by help of database system. Privacy of data refers to the rights of individuals and organizations to determine for themselves when, how and to what extent information will be transmitted to others, that is getting decided by this privacy aspect or the facilities that is given in the computer based record keeping system. Next, we will proceed to advantage provided by database system. Database reduce the data redundancy to a large extent. So, what does it mean by redundancy? First, we will discuss on this. What is data redundancy? Redundancy means duplicacy of data, means repetition or duplicacy of data is minimized by help of database management system. So, what happens here? For example, if a college is storing information about students in a database in the college, while the hostel or students data are also maintained in another database. Hence, if a hostel student is changing his permanent address, he has submitted one application to the hostel superintendent, while it is he has forgotten to inform to the college authority. At that time, his permanent address is changed there in the hostel database, while that is not getting changed in the college, not changed by the college authorities. There are chances of redundancy, means the same student is having two different permanent address. In one place in the college, that is the old one, while in the hostel the new data or the updated data is there. So, this data redundancy concept can be eliminated minimized by help of database, while this again leads to another problem that is known as data inconsistency. Means if the redundant data is stored inside the database, then what happens when one user wants to access the data, or when a college authority wants to send one letter to the particular student, then the address that is not changed there in the college database, while the same address is changed by the hostel authority. Hence, what happens? There inconsistency occurs, or there will be confliction at the time of retrieving data from the database if redundant data is stored inside the database. So, inconsistency is corollary to the previous problem, that is redundancy, and this inconsistency can be minimized by reducing redundancy as well. So, these two features can be achieved in computer based record keeping system. That means, in one place if the data is getting modified, then that is also reflected in the previous database. That is one of the important aspect of database management system, and another is our sharing of data concept. Databases facilitate sharing of data. Inside the database, number of data are getting stored regarding one organization or enterprise. For example, if I will say that accounts or inside a bank, centrally controlled database keeps all the data regarding the customers and accounts, while the end user is a customer who only wants to access the data from the database, or he want to know, or the end user wants to know his balance details or his transaction details, while many more other informations are also shared stored over there inside that particular database. So, the end user or the customer only wants to see his own balance details or transaction details, while all other information is hidden from him, and while branch manager can have many other access to the database. So, sharing of data or each piece of data can be shared by help of this database management system. Another concept is enforcing standards. So, databases also enforce standards. In each company or organization, there is a particular standard maintained for data. So, that standard can be maintained by help of a database system. Also, sometimes national and international standards are maintained by database. So, at that time also these standards can be updated or maintained by help of databases. Next concept is integrity. Integrity in a database also can be maintained. So, what does it mean by integrity? Actually, integrity means when we have stored number of data inside the database, many number of users are there, and there are chances of modification of the data many times, and this may lead to the sometimes power failure and other hardware failures occur, and this may lead to change the database structure, etc. So, which should not affect implementation of the data structure or redesigning of the data structure again in future. Also in future there are need of changing data from the database. Hence, database should be designed in such a way that even in future many more scopes will be added to it. Still then there will be no need of changing the basic data structure that is adopted by the database, and that ensures our integrity. Again, some constraints are also provided in the database at the time of storing data. For example, if I will say that a date having month 15, that is impossible, or if I will say a month having 32 number of days. Suppose when we are preparing salary of an employee, so number of working days in a month should not exceed 30 or 31. So, these are the integrity constraints, or number of constraints are there to specify range of a field or attribute in a database, which ensures integrity in a database. Hence, these are the number of advantages provided by database system, which for which we prefer to store data in computer based record keeping system or inside the database. There are number of terms related to database. One is field, another is record, and next we will discuss on file. So, what does it mean by a field? A field is a combination of one or more related characters or bytes and is the smallest unit of data a user accesses. A field name uniquely identifies each field. There we specify each attribute in a relation or in a table by help of a field, while each column in a table is known as a field and each field contains one type of data, while a collection of fields together is known as records. That means, a record is a group of related fields. For example, a student record includes a set of fields about one student. If there is a table known as student, then roll number is a field, while if roll number, name and phone number is specified in the table, then information about one student, roll number 1, suppose name of the student is Ram and his phone number is 9935878571, then the entire row of data is known as a record. And next we will proceed to file. So, what does it mean by a file? A database consists of number of files, while each file is again a collection of records. File is nothing but a collection of records, while record is a collection of fields. Here the diagram shows regarding the record and field details and file detail. Next, we will proceed to file organization. So, what does it mean by file organization? File organization means the way data is stored inside the memory location, inside the physical memory location, so that it can be retrieved whenever it is needed. It includes the physical order and layout of records on storage devices. The techniques used to find and retrieve stored records are called access methods. There are number of access methods by which data can be accessed from the storage device. So, one is our read mode, another is our write mode and another is our append mode. In read mode, when user is accessing the data, suppose we will say the end user or the account holder. The account holder can only see or view the data, he cannot make any changes to the data, while the branch manager can have access to make some modifications, while some others are there, the system analyst and the physical stage system analyst, they can have access to make any modification in the physical or internal level and also in the logical level. So, file organization refer to the logical relationships among various records that constitute the file, particularly with respect to the means of identification and access to any specific record. In simple terms, storing the files in certain order is called file organization. File structure refers to the format of the label and data blocks, and of any logical control structure refers to the format of the label and data blocks and of any logical control record. So, types of file organization. What are the different types of file organization? Various methods have been introduced to organize files. These particular methods have advantage and disadvantage on the basis of access or selection. Thus, it is all upon the programmer to decide the best suited file organization method according to his requirements. Some types of file organizations here we will discuss. One is our sequential file organization, another is heap file organization and another is our hash or direct file organization. The sequential file organization is the easiest method of file organization. In this method, the files are stored one after another in a sequential manner. As its name tells, the records are stored one after another, and there are two ways to implement this sequential file organization method. One is pile file method and another is a sorted file method. So, what does it mean by pile file method? Now, in this method, we store the records in a sequence, that is one after another in the order in which they are inserted into the tables. In which order the records are inserted into tables, we store the records in that particular manner in pile file method. For example, if we are here in the diagram I have shown that R1, R3 and R5, R4 are 4 different records are stored in a sequence. Here records are nothing but a row in any table. Suppose a new record R2 has to be inserted in the sequence, then it is simply placed at the end of the file. So, this is the simplest method of inserting a record into the sequential file organization in pile file method. While another method is there known as sorted file method, while whenever here the record is initially inserted at the end of the file, while later that record is sorted in the particular position where it fits. So, here assume that there is prefixing sorted sequence of 4 records R1, R3 and so on R7 and R8. Suppose new record R2 has to be inserted in the sequence, then it will be inserted at the end of the file and then it will sort the sequence. Next, another file organization concept is there, that is heap file organization. This heap file organization works with data blocks. In this method, records are inserted at end of the file into the data blocks. No sorting or ordering is required in this method. If a data block is full, the new record is stored in some other block, can be any block in the memory. It is the responsibility of the DBMS to store and manage the data. How to store and in which particular location it will get stored, that is the responsibility of the database management system. Next, we will discuss on data abstraction. The modern days languages support data abstraction. So, what does it mean by data abstraction? A good database system ensures easy, smooth and efficient data structures in such a way, so that every type of database user, like our end users, that those are the on-trained users, and application system analyst, the analyst who designs the database in logical level, and the storage system analyst who works at internal level or physical implementation of the database, is able to access its desired information efficiently. So, abstraction is the concept that means hiding data. Data abstraction means hiding data, means different level users are requiring the data in different manner. Everybody should not see all the details regarding the data. For example, if I will say regarding a switchboard, whenever we need to switch on a fan, just we are pressing the switch from the bottom, and whenever we want to switch up the fan, we are pressing the switch from the top. But the internal wiring details is not known to us. That is the data abstraction concept. Here the internal structure or how the data is getting stored inside the database and how it is getting accessed, all the details are not known to the user. That is the concept of data abstraction. So, there are three different levels of database implementation. One is internal level or physical level data abstraction, another is our conceptual level or logical level data abstraction, and the third one is our external level or view level data abstraction. The internal level or physical level data abstraction is the lowest level of data abstraction, or it is the internal level of data abstraction. It is closest to the physical storage devices. Here it describes how the data are actually stored in storage device or medium, what will be the storage technique, what will be the starting address of the database, all these are specified in this internal level of data abstraction. While next is our conceptual level data abstraction. It is the next higher level of internal level. In this level, data abstraction describe what data are actually stored in the database, what are all the constitute the database, and what are the relationships between the data and entities. And the next higher level of data abstraction is our user level or external level data abstraction. This is also known as view level data abstraction. This is the level closest to the users and is concerned with the way in which the data are viewed by individual users. It describes what is the way of viewing information to the concerned user. So, the end users are here, you can say external level is the customer in a bank, while the conceptual level is dealt by help of the system analyst, while internal level or physical level is dealt by the physical level system analyst. Three different levels of data abstraction diagram is here also shown. Here physical level and or internal level, conceptual level or logical level, and external level or the viewer level or user level is shown in this diagram. Next, will discuss on data independence, a vital term related to database management system, that is data independence. The ability to modify a scheme definition in one level without affecting a scheme definition in the next higher level is called data independence. As already we have discussed, we have modified we have seen that already end users are using the data from the database, application programmers are also using the data, and the system analyst is also using the data, and sometimes the physical system analyst also dealing with the data, how the data will be stored inside the physical medium, from where the database will start and which data structure will best suit. So, when we are seeing that a number of users are dealing with the data in the database, then there are chances of change in one level, while in other level data is getting changed. Hence, in order to maintain integrity, there is the need of data independence, and there are two different data independent levels are there. One is physical data independence, another is logical data independence. So, what does it mean by physical data independence? It refers to ability to modify the scheme followed at the physical level without affecting the scheme followed by the conceptual level. And logical data independence is the ability to modify the conceptual scheme without causing any changes in the scheme followed at the view level. So, it is more difficult to achieve logical data independence rather than to achieve physical level data independence. The abstract data types in modern programming languages implement the concept of data independence to a large extent, which is a blessing in the form of a database. Here the diagram describes well regarding various level of data abstraction. Here the internal level discusses the physical details of data storage, how to what extent data is stored inside the internal level, while the conceptual level deals with the logical details of the data, while the view level is dealt by help of the viewers or users. Next, we will discuss on data models. There are three different data models we will discuss here. The models refers to the representation way of data or information in the database management system. The three data models that are used for database management are relational data model, hierarchical data model, and third one is our network data model. So, what is relational data model? Relational data model is the mostly used data model. This is the most important data model used nowadays. This relational data model represents data and relationships among data by a collection of tables known as relations. Here you see there are 4 different columns in a relational data models, and here 3 different rows are there. The first row consists of the field names or attributes, while another 2 records are stored in the table. So, first table shows information about the student having roll number 111001, while the second row shows the information regarding the second student having roll number 111002. So, in relational data model, the relationship among the data is represented in a tabular structure, while in network data model the records and the relationship among the records are represented by help of a link. Here the data are stored in records and the relationship among the records are stored by help of links in network model, while in hierarchical data model the records and the relationship among the records are also represented by help of links, while in hierarchical model the records are stored in a tree structure, while in case of network model the records are organized as collection of graphs. So, this is the concept of different data models. Next we will discuss on relational database terminology. So, what are the different relational database terminology are there? One is our relation. The relational model was propounded by E.F. Seard by IBM and has since been acknowledged as a very important concept in Dbms technology. The relational data model has established itself as the primary data model for commercial data processing application, while a relation is a table, that is data arranged in rows and columns. Next term is the domain, that is related to database terminology. The domain is pool of values from which the actual value appearing in given column are drawn. For example, if we are interested to see the roll number and name of the students, then we skip the rest of the attributes or rest of the columns. So, a domain is a pool of values from which the actual values appearing in given column are drawn. Next is the concept of a tuple. So, what does it mean by tuple? The rows of a table relations are generally referred to as a tuple, or a record of data you can call as a tuple, while attributes are the columns of tables, or the columns of relations are generally referred to as attributes. Next term related to database terminology is degree of the database. So, the number of columns or attributes in a relation determine the degree of a relation. Cardinality is another term related to database terminology, that is the number of tuples or rows in a relation is called the cardinality of a relation. Next is the concept of database keys. Now, we will discuss one important aspect of database, that is database keys. It is important to be able to specify how rows and relations are distinguished conceptually. Rows are distinct from one another. No two rows in a particular table will match, or in a database no two rows of data will match ever. So, each individual row is distinct and also each individual column is distinct. There are number of keys are there in a database. One is our primary key, another is candidate key, next is alternate key, then foreign key and the referential integrity. So, what does it mean by primary key and what is the need of this primary key? A primary key is a set of one or more attributes that can uniquely identify tuples or rows within a relation or table. For example, we can say registration number or roll number of a student. All of us know that no two students will having the same roll number or same registration number in a particular class. Hence, those fields or those attributes can be considered as the primary key, because by help of the roll number we can uniquely identify a record in a relation, a record in a table. Next is our candidate key. So, candidate key are all the attributes that combines inside a relation that can serve as a primary key are candidate keys, as they are candidates for the primary key position. As all of us know, here again I will remind that in a table maybe more than one column will be able to identify each individual record uniquely. Here we can say roll number can identify each individual student uniquely, while registration number also can identify each individual student uniquely. Hence, both these keys, both these attributes roll number as well as the registration number both can be candidate for primary key, while if we are using one key as a primary key, then the other key is known as alternative key, or a candidate key that is not the primary key is called an alternative key. For example, student roll number is a alternate key if we are using student registration number as a primary key. Next, we will discuss on foreign key. A non-key attribute whose values are derived from primary key of some other table is known as foreign key in its current table. So, foreign key is a non-key attribute, it is not a key in the table for which it is meant. So, whose values are derived from the primary key of some other table, that is known as a foreign key. And the referential integrity is a system of rules that a DBMS uses to ensure that relationships between records in related tables are valid and that users do not accidentally delete or change related data. So, these are all about different keys, those are available in database management system in order to manage the database. Another concept related to DBMS is a view. A view is a virtual table that does not really exist in its own right, but it is instead derived from one or more underlying base tables. Views are like windows through which you view desired information that is actually stored in a base table. So, for example, you can say order is a table while order item is another table. Then this order item table will not exist if order table will not there. So, when from a base table another table is derived, then it is known as a view. Next is a concept normalization, that is related to database for standardization of a database. So, normalization is the process of transformation of conceptual schema or logical data structure of the database into a computer representable form. In other words, the normalization process helps in attaining good database design, thereby avoiding undesirable things like repetition of information, inability to represent information, loss of information, etc. So, normalization is one important aspect of database management system. Next is our concept data definition language and data manipulation language, that is DDL and DML. Data definition language and data manipulation language are the languages related to our database management system. As all of us know, database management system is a management system which is used in order to create database, to insert records into database, to change the structure of a database, to make modifications in the database as and when required, and to delete records whenever it is no more required. So, these are all the facilities that is provided by help of the database management system that is implemented in the database. So, these operations which we achieve, which we want to implement in database, that is categorized into two different categories. One is our data definition language and another is our data manipulation language. So, data definition language includes creating a database, altering a database structure, or deleting or drop a database which is no more required, or to rename, to change the name of a database, those all include our data definition language. While data manipulation language includes insertion of records to the database, insertion of new records to the database, updation of the information that is already stored inside the database. For example, if a student data is already stored and the student has given one application to change his permanent address or phone number, at that time the adequate changes will be made in the particular database, that is provided in your data manipulation language. And whenever no more a record is required, suppose a student already has taken TC from the school, then that particular record will be deleted from the database. And whenever we need to see or view data from the database, we may go for a query and we can select the particular attributes or columns from the database to see the data as per our requirement. So, database management system includes two languages, data definition language, data manipulation languages, and also two more other languages are there, that is data control language and a transaction control language, which is not included here. Next is a concept, that is database administrator. So, who is a database administrator and what is the need of this person? The database administrator, shortly known as DBA, is the person or a group of persons responsible for the well-being of the Dbms. So, DBA is responsible for the following functions and responsibilities of the Dbms. Definition of schema or the architecture of three levels of data abstractions are specified by help of this database administrator. So, modifications of the defined schema as and when required is also done by help of this database administrator, and definition of the storage structure and access method, that is sequential, indexed or direct, creating a new user ID and password etc., and creating the access permissions that each user can or cannot enjoy, that is decided by help of the database administrator. So, database administrator is taking a vital part in designing the logical structure of a database, in providing access facilities, authentication to the different end users, by which privacy, authenticity and protection can be provided to the database, so that we can protect the database from damage and destruction. Next, we will discuss on advantage of Dbms. So, what are the advantages of Dbms? Already we have discussed from the beginning that reduced data redundancy and updating and editing errors and deleting errors, and also greater data integrity and independence of data can be implemented through application programs, improved data access to users through use of host and query languages, and improved data security, reduced data entry, storage and also retrieval costs are more in our database management system. So, disadvantages of a database management system are the database system are complex, difficult and time consuming to design. The substantial hardware and software startup costs are also more in the database system, because all of us know to implement a database we have to set up a particular hardware in the organization. For that we have to initially startup cost will rise, and the damage to the database affects virtually all application programs. In everywhere the database is getting accessed by the end users by help of the application programmers and by help of the physical level system analyst. So, if database is damaged due to any hardware problem or due to any other failure, then that affects the all the application programs, and extensive conversion costs in moving from a file based system to a database system is also there. Once from the file system we are converting into database system, then there will be one extensive conversion cost, and initially a group of people have to be get trained regarding this database system, otherwise this database system cannot get implemented. So, these are all the advantage and disadvantage of a database management system. And now we will discuss on different concepts of database, that is our database management system includes our relational model. While this relational model is represented, basically the relational model is designed by help of entities and relationships. So, entities are the real world attributes, can say the real world attributes are represented, or the table value names are represented as entities, while the attributes are representing a relation by column and column. So, already we have discussed a number of factors related to database and database management system. Now, I am again revising the concepts what we have covered yet. Now, the definition of data and information we have discussed, while data is any raw factor figure what we see in naked eye, and information is the processed data that provides a particular meaning. While definition of database says that collection or interrelated data stored together to serve multiple applications is known as database, while database management system is a computer based record keeping system that is a collection of data that serve many applications as possible. Next is the concept of database management system. This management system plays in between database and the end user or application programmer. This database management system provides the concept of data definition, data manipulation and data control. So, the languages like DDL, DML and DCL are all coming under this database management system, where there are the facilities to create database, to modify database, to update database and to delete a database as and when needed. Next is the concept of database advantage and disadvantage. So, we have already discussed the features like reducing redundancy by help of database. As all of us know, database management system reduces redundancy in a database to a desired extent. Next, inconsistency is also related to redundancy. Hence, once redundancy is minimized, inconsistency will also minimized in the database system. While sharing of data concept is also there, this facilitates sharing of data to different end users, and standardization of data also can be achieved to a greater extent by help of database management system rather than manual record keeping system. And the most vital part of database management system is security. All of us know that the data which is stored for a corporation or for an organization, that is very important for the corporation, that should not be disclosed to unauthorized user. Hence, security and privacy is also an important aspect of database management database system, and integrity is also maintained by help of database management system by providing different constraints and conditions by which we can restrict data entry to the database. Next is the concept of data security and privacy, what already we have discussed, and the advantage and disadvantage already we have discussed. Next, the concept of field, file and record. These are the basic building blocks of a database. Already we have discussed the field is nothing but a column of data. A column or a field is a combination of one or more related characters or bytes and is the smallest unit of data that a user accesses, while record is a collection of fields and a file is a collection of records. So, the diagram displays the details regarding this field, file and record concept. And file organization is nothing but the structure of the data inside the physical storage medium or inside the physical storage device, in which way data is getting stored, that is described in this file organization. And there are different access methods or techniques are used to find or retrieve data from the database. Those are known as your access methods. File organizations are of different types. Already we have discussed regarding sequential file organization and our heap file organization, sequential file organization, heap file organization and a direct file or hash file organization. So, in case of sequential file organization, already we have discussed that the record or which is inserted at the end, that is inserted by help of file method or by help of sorted file method. In pile file method, simply the new record is inserted at the end of the file, while in sorted file method, initially the new record is inserted at the end of the file, while then it gets sorted to its particular position. While next concept is heap file organization, where different memory blocks are there. In memory blocks, data are getting stored. Wherever the data and the database management system finds a free memory block, there it allocates the new record. So, this is the concept of a heap file organization, which is not suitable for large databases, because it wastes much memory as comparison to direct file organization or our sequential file organization. Sequential file organization is much faster, while in case of direct file organization, what happens, a function or in a hash function is used in order to access a particular record. Hence, direct file organization is faster and a sequential file organization is slower. And data abstraction concepts hides the concept of data, and already we have discussed regarding different data models and the different views of data or abstraction levels like internal level, conceptual level and external level or view level of data. So, these are all related to database management system, and data independence is the vital is taking the vital part in implementing security in the database. So, in logical level, if some modifications are getting done, then that should not be reflected in the physical level, or if in physical level some modifications are done, then that is not reflected in the logical level. That is the concept of data independence, which is also there in database management system. Today's class is finished. So, with this, thank you.